The story of the Minotaur, a fearsome creature trapped in a labyrinth, is one of the most famous myths in Greek mythology. But what if I told you that this tale didn't start with the Greeks? Hidden beneath the layers of this legend lies the shadow of a forgotten civilization, the Minoans of Crete. Their labyrinthine palaces, advanced culture, and mysterious decline didn't just inspire the myth of the Minotaur, they shaped the very foundations of Greek storytelling. And this is just one example. Across the globe, ancient civilizations, now lost to time, have left their mark on the myths and legends we still tell today. These forgotten cultures didn't just vanish, they live on in the stories we cherish, the gods we worship, and the mysteries we try to unravel. In this video, we'll journey through 20 of these lost civilizations, uncovering how their myths, rituals, and beliefs have influenced the modern world in ways you might never have imagined. From the storm gods of the Hittites to the divine kings of Nubia, each of these cultures holds a key to understanding the myths that shape our lives. So, are you ready to uncover the secrets of the past and see how these ancient worlds continue to whisper in our stories today? Let's dive in. Now, let's step into the world of the Minoans, a civilization that thrived on the island of Crete over 3,000 years ago. Known for their breathtaking labyrinthine palaces like the famous Knossos, the Minoans were masters of architecture and engineering. These sprawling complexes, with their intricate corridors and vibrant frescoes, weren't just royal residences, they were the heart of a culture that valued art, trade, and innovation. But it's their connection to the myth of the Minotaur that truly captures the imagination. The labyrinth, a symbol of their architectural genius, became the setting for one of Greek mythology's most enduring tales. Yet, the Minoans' influence goes far beyond this single story. Their advanced maritime trade networks connected them to Egypt, the Near East, and beyond, spreading their ideas and artistry across the ancient world. They were pioneers in art, creating stunning frescoes and pottery that depicted nature, religion, and daily life with a level of sophistication rarely seen at the time. Even their mysterious decline, whether due to natural disasters, invasions, or internal collapse, left a lasting mark. The Greeks, who came after them, wove the Minoans' legacy into their own myths, from the concept of the underworld to the archetype of the labyrinth as a place of trial and transformation. The Minoans may have faded into history, but their stories, their art, and their innovations continue to echo in the myths we tell today. Now, shifting our gaze to the rugged landscapes of Anatolia, we encounter the Hittites, a formidable empire that rose to power around the 17th century BC. Known for their mastery of warfare and diplomacy, the Hittites carved out a vast kingdom that rivaled the great powers of the ancient world. But it's their mythology that truly sets them apart. At the heart of their belief system was the storm god Teshub, a powerful deity who wielded thunder and lightning as weapons. Teshub wasn't just a god of weather. He was a symbol of strength, order, and divine authority, embodying the archetype of the warrior god that would later appear in Greek and Mesopotamian myths. The Hittites' tales of epic battles between gods and monsters, like the myth of Teshub's victory over the sea dragon Ilianka, laid the groundwork for similar stories in other cultures. These myths weren't just entertainment, they were reflections of the Hittites' worldview, where chaos and order were locked in an eternal struggle. The Hittites' influence extended beyond their myths. Their strategic alliances and military prowess played a key role in shaping the legends of the Trojan War. Some scholars believe that the Hittites may have been the historical counterpart to the Trojans, with their capital, Hattusa, serving as a hub of trade and diplomacy. The Hittites' interactions with the Mycenaean Greeks, who later immortalized the Trojan War in their own epics, suggest a deep cultural exchange. Even the Hittite practice of treaty-making, where agreements were sealed with oaths to the gods, echoes in the Greek concept of divine justice and fate. Though the Hittite Empire eventually fell, their legacy lived on in the myths and legends of the ancient world. From the storm gods of Mesopotamia to the warrior heroes of Greek epics, the Hittite stories continue to resonate, reminding us of the enduring power of myth to shape our understanding of the past. Now, as we journey further east, we arrive in the ancient lands of Iran where the Elamites once thrived. This civilization, flourishing as early as the 3rd millennium BC, left behind a rich tapestry of myths and religious practices that would echo through the ages. At the core of Elamite mythology were serpent deities, powerful beings that symbolized both creation and destruction. These serpents were not just feared, they were revered as guardians of cosmic balance, embodying the dual forces of chaos and order. One of the most prominent figures in their pantheon was the serpent goddess Kirarisha, a deity associated with fertility, healing, and the underworld. Her dual nature, both nurturing and fearsome, reflects the Elamites' deep understanding of the interconnectedness of life and death, light and darkness. The Elamites' myths often revolved around cosmic battles between these serpent deities and other divine forces, a theme that would later find its way into Zoroastrian and Persian legends. These stories weren't just tales of gods and monsters, they were profound reflections of the Elamites' worldview, where the universe was seen as a battleground between opposing forces. This concept of dualism, the idea that the world is shaped by the struggle between good and evil, light and dark, would become a cornerstone of Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions. The Elamites' influence on this idea is undeniable, as their myths laid the groundwork for the dualistic themes that would dominate Persian spirituality for centuries. But the Elamites' contributions to mythology didn't stop there. Their religious practices were equally unique, blending elements of nature worship with complex rituals that honored their gods. Temples dedicated to deities like Inshushinak, the patron god of Susa, were centers of both spiritual and political power, reflecting the Elamites' belief in the divine right of kings. These practices, along with their intricate burial customs, reveal a civilization deeply attuned to the mysteries of life, death, and the afterlife. Though the Elamite civilization eventually faded into history, their myths and religious ideas lived on, shaping the spiritual landscape of the ancient world and leaving an indelible mark on the stories we tell today. Now, as we travel south along the Nile, we arrive in the land of the Nubians, a civilization whose influence on mythology and culture rivals even that of their northern neighbors, the Egyptians. The Nubians, who thrived in the Nile Valley for thousands of years, developed a rich tradition of myths centered around divine kingship and solar deities. These stories not only shaped their own identity, but also left a lasting imprint on Egyptian mythology and beyond. At the heart of Nubian mythology was the belief in the pharaoh as a god-king, a ruler who was both a political leader and a divine intermediary. This concept of divine kingship was deeply rooted in their religious practices, where the pharaoh was seen as the earthly embodiment of the sun god. The Nubians worshipped a pantheon of solar deities, with the sun god Amun-Ra holding a particularly prominent place in their cosmology. Amun-Ra was not just a symbol of light and life, but also a unifying force that connected the heavens and the earth, the divine and the mortal. This idea of the pharaoh as a living god would later become a cornerstone of Egyptian mythology, where the pharaoh was similarly revered as a divine figure. The Nubians also contributed to the broader tapestry of African mythologies through their unique stories and rituals. Their myths often featured powerful queens and warrior goddesses, reflecting the prominent role women played in Nubian society. One such figure was the lioness goddess Sekhmet, a fierce protector and bringer of justice, whose influence extended beyond Nubia into Egyptian lore. These myths not only celebrated the strength and wisdom of women, but also reinforced the Nubians' belief in the balance of power between male and female deities. Another key aspect of Nubian mythology was their connection to the natural world. The Nile River, with its life-giving waters, was central to their myths, symbolizing both creation and renewal. The annual flooding of the Nile was seen as a divine act, a gift from the gods that ensured the fertility of the land. This reverence for nature was reflected in their art and architecture, where images of the sun, the river, and sacred animals adorned temples and tombs. These symbols served as reminders of the Nubians' deep spiritual connection to the world around them. Though the Nubian civilization eventually declined, their myths and cultural practices endured, influencing not only Egyptian mythology but also the broader traditions of African spirituality. Their legacy lives on in the stories of divine kingship, solar deities, and the sacred bond between humanity and nature, a testament to the enduring power of their civilization and its contributions to the myths we still tell today. Now, as we journey westward from the Nile Valley, we arrive in the heart of ancient Italy where the Etruscans once thrived. This enigmatic civilization, flourishing long before the rise of Rome, left an indelible mark on the myths and rituals that would later define Roman culture. The Etruscans were masters of the mystical, weaving intricate religious practices and vivid underworld myths that would deeply influence their Roman successors. At the core of Etruscan spirituality was a profound connection to the divine, expressed through elaborate rituals and a complex system of divination. The Etruscans believed that the gods communicated their will through natural phenomena, such as the flight of birds or the patterns of lightning. This practice, known as haruspicy, involved interpreting these signs to guide decisions in both public and private life. The Romans, ever the keen observers, adopted and adapted these divination techniques, making them a cornerstone of their own religious and political systems. The Etruscan emphasis on reading the divine will become a lasting legacy, shaping Roman approaches to governance and spirituality. The Etruscans also held a vivid and detailed vision of the afterlife, which would profoundly influence Roman mythology. Their underworld, known as Aether, was a realm of both judgment and reward where the souls of the dead were guided by deities like Charon, a figure akin to the Greek Charon. The Etruscans believed that the journey to the afterlife was fraught with challenges, and they adorned their tombs with intricate frescoes depicting these trials and the pleasures that awaited the virtuous. This rich imagery of the afterlife not only reflected their beliefs but also inspired Roman conceptions of the underworld, including the famous myths of Orpheus and Aeneas's descent into the realm of the dead. In addition to their religious and mythological contributions, the Etruscans played a pivotal role in shaping Roman rituals and ceremonies. Their influence is particularly evident in the Roman practice of augury, where priests interpreted the will of the gods by observing the behavior of birds. The Etruscans also introduced the Romans to the concept of the sacred space or templum, a designated area for religious observation and worship. This idea became central to Roman architecture, as seen in the construction of temples and public spaces designed to honor the gods. The Etruscans' legacy extends beyond their myths and rituals, as their cultural and artistic achievements also left a lasting imprint on Roman society. Their vibrant art, characterized by detailed depictions of gods, heroes, and mythical creatures, inspired Roman artists and storytellers. The Etruscan emphasis on the divine and the afterlife permeated Roman literature, from epic poetry to philosophical treatises, ensuring that their myths and beliefs continued to resonate long after their civilization faded. Though the Etruscans eventually succumbed to Roman dominance, their influence endured, woven into the very fabric of Roman mythology and culture. Their rituals, divination practices, and vivid underworld myths became integral to the Roman worldview, shaping the stories and traditions that would define one of history's greatest empires. As we explore the next chapter of Forgotten Civilizations, we'll see how these ancient threads continue to weave through the tapestry of modern myths. Now, as we shift our gaze to the east, we arrive at the banks of the mighty Indus River, where the Harappan civilization once flourished. This ancient society, thriving over 4,000 years ago, is often overshadowed by its contemporaries in Mesopotamia and Egypt, yet its contributions to mythology and culture are no less profound. The Harappans, known for their advanced urban planning and enigmatic symbols, left behind a legacy that continues to intrigue scholars and inspire modern myths. At the heart of Harappan culture was their remarkable city building. Their cities, such as Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, were marvels of ancient engineering, featuring grid-like streets, sophisticated drainage systems, and multi-story buildings. But beyond their architectural achievements, the Harappans also left behind a wealth of artifacts adorned with mysterious symbols. These symbols, often found on seals and pottery, have yet to be fully deciphered, leading to endless speculation about their meaning. Some researchers believe these symbols may represent an early form of writing, while others suggest they could be linked to religious or mythological concepts. This air of mystery has fueled modern interpretations, with some drawing connections between Harappan symbols and later Indian myths. One of the most fascinating aspects of Harappan culture is its potential influence on Vedic mythology. The Vedas, the ancient scriptures of India, describe a pantheon of deities and a cosmic order known as RTA. Some scholars propose that the Harappans may have laid the groundwork for these ideas. For instance, the recurring motif of a horned figure seated in a yogic posture on Harappan seals has been interpreted as a precursor to the Hindu god Shiva, often depicted as a meditative ascetic. Similarly, the reverence for water and fertility in Harappan art may have influenced later myths surrounding rivers like the Ganges, which are considered sacred in Hinduism. The Harappans also appear to have had a deep connection to the natural world, as evidenced by their depictions of animals such as bulls, elephants, and tigers. These animals, often shown in association with human figures or divine symbols, may have held mythological significance. The bull, in particular, is a recurring motif, possibly symbolizing strength and fertility. This imagery echoes in later Indian myths, where the bull Nandi serves as the mount of Shiva, and the cow is revered as a symbol of abundance and life. Another intriguing aspect of Harappan culture is their apparent emphasis on balance and order, both in their cities and their art. This focus on harmony may have influenced the Vedic concept of RTA, which represents the cosmic order governing the universe. The Harappans' meticulous urban planning and their depictions of symmetrical, balanced designs suggest a society deeply attuned to the principles of order and proportion. These ideas resonate in later Indian philosophies, which emphasize the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of maintaining harmony with the cosmos. Though the Harappan civilization eventually declined, their legacy endures in the myths and traditions of the Indian subcontinent. Their symbols, art, and urban achievements continue to spark curiosity and inspire interpretations, bridging the gap between the ancient and the modern. As we move forward in our exploration of forgotten civilizations, we'll see how the Harappans' enigmatic legacy weaves into the broader tapestry of human mythology, reminding us of the enduring power of ancient stories to shape our understanding of the world. Now, as we journey across the vast expanse of the Americas, we arrive in the lush landscapes of ancient Mesoamerica, where the Olmec civilization once thrived. Known as the mother culture of the region, the Olmecs laid the foundation for many of the myths and traditions that would later define Maya and Aztec civilizations. Their legacy, carved in stone and steeped in mystery, continues to captivate scholars and storytellers alike. At the heart of Olmec culture are their iconic colossal heads, massive stone sculptures that stand as a testament to their artistic and engineering prowess. These heads, some weighing several tons, are believed to represent powerful rulers or deities, their stern expressions hinting at the authority and reverence they commanded. But beyond their striking appearance, these sculptures also offer a glimpse into the Olmec spiritual world where the jaguar reigned supreme. The jaguar, often depicted in Olmec art, was more than just a fearsome predator. It was a symbol of power, transformation, and the divine. This reverence for the jaguar would later echo in the myths of the Maya and Aztecs, where the creature became a central figure in their pantheons and cosmology. One of the most enduring contributions of the Olmecs to Mesoamerican mythology is the archetype of the feathered serpent. This mythical being, blending the attributes of a serpent and a bird, symbolized the union of earth and sky, the material and the spiritual. The Olmecs' depictions of this creature, though less elaborate than those of later cultures, laid the groundwork for its evolution into figures like Kukulkan for the Maya and Quetzalcoatl for the Aztecs. These deities, embodying wisdom, creation, and renewal, became central to the religious and cultural identity of their respective civilizations. The feathered serpent's journey from Olmec art to Aztec temples is a testament to the enduring power of this archetype, bridging centuries and cultures. The Olmecs also introduced the concept of cyclical time, a belief that history and the cosmos operate in repeating cycles of creation and destruction. This idea, deeply embedded in their worldview, is reflected in their art and architecture, which often feature symbols of regeneration and renewal. The Olmecs' emphasis on cycles would profoundly influence later Mesoamerican cultures, shaping their calendars, rituals, and myths. For the Maya, this concept manifested in their long count calendar, which tracked vast cycles of time, while the Aztecs celebrated the cyclical nature of existence through their elaborate ceremonies and festivals. Another fascinating aspect of Olmec culture is their connection to the natural world, particularly their reverence for water and fertility. The Olmecs inhabited a region rich in rivers and wetlands, and their art frequently depicts themes of rain, rivers, and agricultural abundance. This focus on water as a life-giving force would later resonate in the myths of the Maya and Aztecs, where deities like Choc and Tlaloc governed rain and fertility. The Olmecs' ability to harmonize their spiritual beliefs with their environment underscores their profound understanding of the interconnectedness of life, a theme that would continue to inspire Mesoamerican civilizations for centuries. Though the Olmec civilization eventually faded, their influence endured, woven into the fabric of Mesoamerican mythology. Their colossal heads, jaguar deities, and feathered serpents remain powerful symbols of a culture that bridged the ancient and the modern. As we continue our exploration of forgotten civilizations, the Olmecs remind us of the timeless nature of myth and how the stories of the past continue to shape our understanding of the world. Now, as we venture into the vast, wind-swept steppes of Eurasia, we encounter the enigmatic Scythians, a nomadic people whose legends of fierce warrior women and golden treasures have left an indelible mark on the myths of ancient Greece and Persia. The Scythians, masters of the open plains, were not only skilled horsemen and warriors, but also custodians of a rich spiritual tradition that blended the earthly and the divine. Their stories, passed down through generations, continue to captivate us with their blend of mystery and grandeur. One of the most striking aspects of Scythian culture is their legendary warrior women, who have become the foundation for the myth of the Amazons. These women, often depicted as equals to their male counterparts in battle, were said to ride into combat with unmatched skill and ferocity. Greek historians like Herodotus wrote of their prowess, describing them as a society where women fought alongside men, a concept that both fascinated and unsettled the more patriarchal cultures of the Mediterranean. The Scythians' warrior women not only inspired the Amazon myth, but also challenged the traditional gender roles of the ancient world, offering a glimpse into a culture where strength and courage knew no gender. The Scythians were also renowned for their exquisite golden treasures, which have been unearthed in burial mounds across the steppes. These artifacts, often intricately crafted with images of animals, gods, and mythical creatures, reveal a deep connection to the spiritual world. The Scythians believed that gold was a sacred metal, a bridge between the mortal realm and the divine. Their golden treasures were not merely symbols of wealth but also of power and protection, often buried with their dead to ensure safe passage to the afterlife. This reverence for gold would later influence Persian and Greek legends, where golden objects often held magical or divine significance. Another fascinating aspect of Scythian culture is their shamanistic traditions, which played a central role in their spiritual life. The Scythians believed in a world inhabited by spirits, where shamans acted as intermediaries between the human and the divine. These shamans, often adorned in elaborate costumes and using hallucinogenic substances, would enter trance-like states to communicate with the spirit world. Their rituals, which included drumming, chanting, and dancing, were designed to heal, protect, and guide their people. This shamanistic tradition would leave a lasting legacy, influencing the spiritual practices of later cultures across Eurasia. The Scythians' nomadic lifestyle also shaped their myths and worldview. Living in harmony with the vast, untamed landscapes of the steppes, they developed a deep respect for nature and its cycles. Their myths often revolved around themes of survival, transformation, and the eternal struggle between order and chaos. These stories, passed down through oral tradition, were not just entertainment but also a way of preserving their history and values. The Scythians' ability to adapt to their environment and thrive in the face of adversity is a testament to their resilience and ingenuity. Though the Scythians eventually faded into history, their legacy endures in the myths and legends they inspired. From the warrior women who became the Amazons to the golden treasures that symbolized divine power, the Scythians remind us of the enduring power of storytelling. As we continue our journey through the forgotten civilizations that shaped modern myths, the Scythians stand as a testament to the rich tapestry of human imagination and the timeless nature of myth. Now, as we set sail across the shimmering waters of the Mediterranean, we come to the Phoenicians, a seafaring civilization whose mastery of the seas and rich mythology left an enduring mark on the ancient world. Known for their vast trade networks and legendary tales of sea gods, the Phoenicians were not only merchants but also storytellers, weaving myths that would travel far beyond their coastal cities. At the heart of Phoenician mythology is the story of Europa, a tale that would become one of the most enduring myths in Greek and Roman traditions. According to legend, Europa was a beautiful princess abducted by Zeus, who had transformed himself into a majestic white bull. This myth, which originated in Phoenicia, was carried across the Mediterranean by Phoenician traders, eventually becoming a cornerstone of Greek mythology. The story of Europa not only highlights the Phoenicians' role as cultural intermediaries, but also underscores their ability to blend their own myths with those of the lands they touched. The Phoenicians' connection to the sea is central to their mythology. They worshipped gods like Baal and Astarte, deities associated with the ocean, storms, and fertility. These gods were not only protectors of sailors but also symbols of the Phoenicians' reliance on the sea for their livelihood. Their myths often revolved around themes of exploration, adventure, and the unpredictable nature of the waters, reflecting the challenges and triumphs of their maritime lifestyle. These stories would later influence Greek and Roman sea myths, where gods like Poseidon and Neptune took on similar roles. Another significant contribution of the Phoenicians is their role in shaping the concept of the hero's journey. Their myths often featured protagonists who embarked on perilous voyages, facing trials and transformations along the way. These narratives, filled with themes of courage, discovery, and destiny, would resonate deeply with later cultures. The Phoenicians' emphasis on the journey as a metaphor for personal growth and enlightenment can be seen in the epic tales of heroes like Odysseus and Aeneas, whose adventures mirror the Phoenician spirit of exploration and resilience. The Phoenicians' influence extended beyond mythology to their innovations in trade and communication. As pioneers of the alphabet, they developed a writing system that would become the foundation for Greek and Latin scripts. This cultural exchange, facilitated by their extensive trade routes, allowed their myths and ideas to spread far and wide. The Phoenicians' ability to connect distant cultures through commerce and storytelling ensured that their legacy would endure long after their civilization faded. Though the Phoenicians may no longer dominate the Mediterranean, their myths and contributions continue to shape our understanding of the ancient world. From the tale of Europa to the hero's journey, their stories remind us of the power of myth to transcend time and geography. As we continue our exploration of forgotten civilizations, the Phoenicians stand as a testament to the enduring influence of those who dared to sail beyond the horizon. Now, as we journey eastward along the ancient Silk Road, we encounter the Tocharians, a fascinating civilization that thrived in the heart of Central Asia. Nestled in the Tarim Basin, the Tocharians were a unique blend of Indo-European heritage and Buddhist influence, creating a cultural tapestry that left a lasting imprint on the myths and stories of the Silk Road. Their legacy is one of linguistic intrigue and artistic brilliance, bridging the gap between East and West in ways that continue to resonate today. The Tocharians spoke an Indo-European language, a remarkable fact given their location deep within Asia. This linguistic connection to distant cultures like the Greeks and Romans highlights their role as cultural intermediaries. Their language, preserved in ancient manuscripts, reveals a people deeply engaged in the exchange of ideas, goods, and stories along the Silk Road. These texts, often written in a script derived from Indian Brahmi, provide a window into their world where Buddhist teachings and Zoroastrian beliefs coexisted and influenced one another. Buddhist art was one of the Tocharians' most significant contributions to the Silk Road's cultural landscape. Their cave temples, adorned with intricate murals and sculptures, depict scenes from Buddhist mythology, blending Indian artistic traditions with local styles. These artworks not only served as places of worship, but also as visual narratives that conveyed the teachings of the Buddha to travelers and traders passing through the region. The Tocharians' ability to adapt and reinterpret these stories ensured that Buddhist myths spread far beyond their homeland, reaching as far as China and beyond. The Tocharians also played a crucial role in the transmission of Zoroastrian myths. As followers of this ancient Persian religion, they helped preserve and disseminate stories of cosmic battles between light and darkness, good and evil. These themes, deeply rooted in Zoroastrianism, found their way into the myths of other cultures along the Silk Road, including those of the Sogdians and the Chinese. The Tocharians' syncretic approach to religion allowed them to weave together diverse traditions, creating a rich tapestry of myth that reflected the interconnectedness of the ancient world. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Tocharian civilization is their role in shaping the myth of the White-Clad Ones, a legendary group of enlightened beings said to inhabit the remote regions of Central Asia. This myth, which blends elements of Buddhist and Zoroastrian lore, reflects the Tocharians' unique position at the crossroads of cultures. It also highlights their ability to create new narratives that resonated with the diverse peoples who traveled the Silk Road. Though the Tocharians eventually faded into history, their influence on the myths and stories of the Silk Road endures. Their art, language, and religious practices remind us of the power of cultural exchange to shape the stories we tell. As we continue our exploration of forgotten civilizations, the Tocharians stand as a testament to the enduring legacy of those who connected distant worlds through myth and imagination. Now, as we venture into the arid landscapes of the Arabian Peninsula, we uncover the secrets of the Nabateans, a civilization whose ingenuity and artistry transformed the desert into a realm of wonder. Centered around the legendary city of Petra, the Nabateans carved their legacy into the very rock, creating a hidden metropolis that continues to captivate the imagination. Their mastery of water management and their myths of the desert have left an indelible mark on Arabian folklore, shaping stories of hidden cities and sacred oases that endure to this day. The Nabateans' most iconic achievement is Petra, a city hewn from rose-red sandstone cliffs. Known as the Lost City, Petra was not only a thriving hub of trade but also a place of myth and mystery. The Nabateans' ability to carve elaborate temples, tombs, and theaters directly into the rock face speaks to their architectural brilliance and their deep connection to the land. This hidden city, accessible only through a narrow gorge known as the Syk, became the stuff of legend, inspiring tales of a civilization that could vanish into the desert at will. Water was the lifeblood of the Nabateans, and their innovative systems for capturing and storing it turned the desert into a fertile oasis. They built intricate networks of channels, cisterns, and reservoirs to harness the scarce rainfall, ensuring their survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. This mastery of water not only sustained their cities but also gave rise to the myth of the oasis as a sacred space, a place of refuge and renewal in the midst of the unforgiving desert. These stories of miraculous springs and hidden wells became central to Arabian folklore, symbolizing hope and resilience in the face of adversity. The Nabateans' religious practices further enriched their myths. They worshipped a pantheon of deities including Dashara, their chief god, and Al-Azza, a goddess associated with water and fertility. Their temples and altars, often carved into the rock, served as places of worship and pilgrimage, drawing people from across the region. The Nabateans' belief in the sacredness of the desert and its resources infused their myths with a sense of reverence for the natural world, a theme that resonates in many Arabian tales. One of the most enduring myths associated with the Nabateans is that of the hidden city, a place of unimaginable wealth and beauty concealed within the desert. This legend, which may have been inspired by Petra itself, has influenced countless stories of lost civilizations and treasure-filled ruins. The idea of a city that appears and disappears, accessible only to the worthy, has become a recurring motif in Arabian folklore, reflecting the Nabateans' ability to thrive in a landscape that seemed inhospitable to others. Though the Nabatean civilization eventually faded, their legacy lives on in the myths and stories they inspired. Their rock-cut architecture, their mastery of water, and their reverence for the desert continue to shape our understanding of the ancient world. As we move forward in our exploration of forgotten civilizations, the Nabateans remind us of the power of human ingenuity to transform even the most challenging environments into places of wonder and myth. Now, as we journey across the Mediterranean to the shores of North Africa, we encounter the Carthaginians, a civilization whose myths and legends left a profound mark on the ancient world. Known for their maritime prowess and their fierce rivalry with Rome, the Carthaginians were more than just warriors. They were storytellers whose myths of gods, heroes, and divine sacrifice continue to echo through history. At the heart of Carthaginian mythology were their chief deities, Baal and Tanit. Baal, the god of storms and fertility, was often depicted as a powerful figure who controlled the forces of nature. His worship was central to Carthaginian religious life, and his myths influenced not only their own culture but also the legends of neighboring civilizations. Tanit, the goddess of fertility and the moon, was equally revered, often symbolized by a crescent moon and associated with protection and prosperity. Together, these deities represented the balance of power and life, themes that resonated deeply in Carthaginian society. One of the most enduring myths tied to the Carthaginians is that of divine sacrifice. While this practice is often misunderstood, it played a significant role in their religious rituals. The Carthaginians believed that offering sacrifices to their gods ensured favor and protection, particularly in times of crisis. This concept of divine sacrifice, though controversial, became a recurring theme in later Roman and Punic legends, shaping the way ancient societies understood the relationship between humans and the divine. The Carthaginians also left their mark on the myth of Hannibal, one of history's most legendary military leaders. Hannibal's daring crossing of the Alps with his army and elephants during the Second Punic War became the stuff of legend, inspiring tales of courage, strategy, and resilience. While Hannibal was a historical figure, his exploits were often embellished with mythological elements, blending fact and fiction in a way that captured the imagination of both his contemporaries and future generations. The myth of Hannibal not only elevated him to the status of a hero, but also symbolized the Carthaginians' defiance against Rome, a narrative that continues to fascinate historians and storytellers alike. The Carthaginians' influence extended beyond their myths. Their maritime trade networks connected cultures across the Mediterranean, spreading their stories and beliefs far and wide. Even after their civilization fell to Rome, their myths endured, woven into the fabric of Roman and Punic legends. The tales of Baal and Tanit, the concept of divine sacrifice, and the legacy of Hannibal all serve as reminders of a civilization that, though often overshadowed by its rivals, played a crucial role in shaping the myths of the ancient world. As we continue our exploration of forgotten civilizations, the Carthaginians stand as a testament to the power of myth to transcend time and geography. Their stories, steeped in both history and legend, remind us of the enduring human desire to make sense of the world through the tales we tell. And with that, we turn our gaze to the next chapter, where another civilization awaits to reveal its secrets and its influence on the myths we know today. Now, as we journey eastward into the heart of Central Asia, we encounter the Kushan Empire, a civilization that stood at the crossroads of cultures, religions, and trade routes. The Kushans were more than just rulers of a vast empire. They were cultural bridge builders whose syncretic approach to religion and art left an indelible mark on the myths and spiritual traditions of Asia. At the heart of Kushan culture was their unique ability to blend diverse influences into a cohesive whole. Their empire, which flourished between the 1st and 3rd centuries, spanned regions that are now part of modern-day Afghanistan, Pakistan, and northern India. This strategic location allowed them to absorb and reinterpret elements from Greek, Persian, Indian, and Chinese traditions, creating a rich tapestry of beliefs and artistic expressions. One of the Kushans' most significant contributions was their role in shaping the iconography of the Buddha. Before the Kushan era, depictions of the Buddha were largely symbolic, represented by footprints, empty thrones, or other abstract forms. However, under the Kushans, artists began to create some of the earliest anthropomorphic representations of the Buddha. These images, often influenced by Greco-Roman artistic styles, portrayed the Buddha with serene features, flowing robes, and a halo-like aura, setting the standard for Buddhist art that would spread across Asia. The Kushans also played a pivotal role in the development and spread of Mahayana Buddhism, a branch of Buddhism that emphasizes compassion and the ideal of the Bodhisattva, a being who seeks enlightenment not just for themselves but for all sentient beings. The Kushan kings, particularly Kanishka the Great, were ardent patrons of Buddhism, convening councils and supporting the translation of Buddhist texts into various languages. This helped Mahayana Buddhism gain prominence and reach new audiences, from the Silk Road traders to the distant lands of China and beyond. In addition to their religious contributions, the Kushans were instrumental in fostering cultural exchange. Their empire served as a melting pot where ideas, art, and myths flowed freely. For instance, the Kushan adaptation of the Greek god Heracles as a protector deity in Buddhist art illustrates their ability to merge foreign and local traditions seamlessly. This syncretism not only enriched their own culture but also influenced the myths and artistic expressions of neighboring civilizations. The legacy of the Kushans is a testament to the power of cultural fusion. Their art, religion, and myths continue to inspire and inform the spiritual traditions of millions. As we move forward in our exploration of forgotten civilizations, the Kushans remind us that the exchange of ideas is as vital to human progress as the stories we tell. And with that, we turn our attention to the next chapter, where another civilization awaits to share its secrets and its influence on the myths we know today. Now, as we journey across the vast Pacific to the arid coast of ancient Peru, we encounter the Moche civilization, a culture that thrived between the 1st and 8th centuries. Known for their intricate pottery, monumental architecture, and vivid murals, the Moche left behind a legacy that offers a fascinating glimpse into their myths, rituals, and worldview. The Moche were master storytellers, using their art to depict scenes of daily life, warfare, and their complex religious beliefs. Among their most striking depictions are those of human sacrifice and divine intervention, themes that reveal their deep connection to the spiritual realm. These rituals were not acts of mere brutality but were deeply symbolic, reflecting their understanding of the cosmos and the delicate balance between life and death. Central to Moche mythology was the concept of the divine ruler, a figure who served as both a political leader and a spiritual intermediary. The Moche believed their rulers were chosen by the gods to maintain harmony between the human and divine worlds. This belief is vividly illustrated in their art, where rulers are often depicted as larger-than-life figures adorned with elaborate regalia, surrounded by symbols of power and divinity. The Moche also played a crucial role in shaping Andean cosmology. Their myths and rituals emphasized the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth, themes that would later influence other Andean cultures, including the Inca. The Moche's elaborate ceremonies, often involving offerings to the gods and the sacrifice of prisoners of war, were seen as essential for ensuring the fertility of the land and the prosperity of their people. One of the most iconic Moche artifacts is the decapitator god, a fearsome deity often depicted holding a sacrificial knife and a severed head. This figure, believed to represent a powerful force of nature, underscores the Moche's belief in the necessity of sacrifice to maintain cosmic order. Their art and architecture, from the sprawling adobe pyramids of Huaca del Sol and Huaca de la Luna to the finely crafted ceramics, serve as enduring testaments to their sophisticated culture and spiritual depth. The Moche's contributions to the concept of the divine ruler and their intricate cosmology continue to resonate in the myths and traditions of the Andean region. Their legacy reminds us of the profound ways in which ancient civilizations sought to understand their place in the universe and the forces that shaped their world. As we move forward in our exploration, we turn our gaze to the next civilization, whose stories and myths await to be uncovered. Now, as we venture into the vast expanse of the Pontic Steppes, we encounter the Sarmatians, a nomadic people whose myths and legends have left an indelible mark on the stories we tell today. The Sarmatians, who thrived between the 5th century before the Common Era and the 4th century of the Common Era, were renowned for their fierce warrior culture and their unique contributions to the mythologies of both the Slavic and Arthurian traditions. At the heart of Sarmatian lore are the tales of warrior women, figures who would later inspire the myth of the Amazons. These women were not just fighters but also leaders, embodying strength, independence, and a deep connection to the spiritual world. The Sarmatians believed that their warrior women were chosen by the gods, a belief that elevated their status and made them central figures in their myths. This idea of powerful, divine women would later resonate in Greek and Roman stories, where the Amazons became symbols of female empowerment and defiance. Equally fascinating are the Sarmatian legends of dragon slayers, heroes who battled monstrous creatures to protect their people. These stories, filled with themes of bravery and sacrifice, would go on to influence the Arthurian legends of medieval Europe. The image of the knight-errant, a wandering hero who fights for justice and honor, can trace its roots back to the Sarmatian warriors who roamed the steppes, defending their tribes and upholding their values. The Sarmatians also played a crucial role in shaping the concept of the knight-errant through their unique social structure. Unlike many other nomadic groups, the Sarmatians placed a high value on individual heroism and the pursuit of glory. This emphasis on personal achievement and the quest for honor would later become central to the chivalric ideals of medieval Europe. Their myths and legends, passed down through generations, remind us of the enduring power of storytelling. The Sarmatians' tales of warrior women and dragon slayers not only entertained but also served as a way to preserve their cultural identity and values. As we continue our journey through the forgotten civilizations that shaped modern myths, we see how the Sarmatians' legacy lives on in the stories we cherish today. With the next chapter of our exploration in sight, we turn to the Aksumite Empire, a civilization whose myths of sacred kingship and divine favor would leave a lasting impact on the world's great religious traditions. As we step into the highlands of ancient Ethiopia, we find ourselves in the realm of the Aksumite Empire, a civilization whose myths and legends have woven themselves into the fabric of some of the world's most enduring religious traditions. Flourishing between the 1st and 7th centuries of the Common Era, the Aksumites were not only a powerful trading empire, but also a cultural and spiritual force whose stories continue to resonate today. At the heart of Aksumite mythology is the tale of the Queen of Sheba, a figure whose journey to meet King Solomon has become a cornerstone of Judeo-Christian and Islamic traditions. According to legend, the Queen of Sheba traveled from her kingdom in Aksum to Jerusalem, drawn by Solomon's wisdom and fame. Their meeting, filled with intrigue and mutual respect, is said to have resulted in the birth of a son, Menelik, who would later bring the Ark of the Covenant to Ethiopia. This myth not only highlights the Aksumites' connection to the wider world, but also underscores their belief in divine favor and sacred lineage. The Ark of the Covenant itself plays a central role in Aksumite mythology. Believed to house the tablets of the Ten Commandments, the Ark was seen as a symbol of God's presence and protection. The Aksumites claimed that the Ark was brought to their capital, Aksum, where it remains to this day, guarded by a lineage of priests. This belief in the Ark's divine power reinforced the idea of sacred kingship, a concept that would deeply influence the religious and political traditions of the region. The Aksumites' myths also shaped the broader narrative of King Solomon, portraying him as a wise and just ruler whose legacy extended far beyond his own kingdom. Through their stories, the Aksumites elevated Solomon to a near-mythic status, blending history and legend to create a figure who embodied both human wisdom and divine authority. This portrayal would later influence the way Solomon was depicted in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic texts, solidifying his place as one of history's most iconic rulers. Beyond their myths, the Aksumites' contributions to the concept of sacred kingship cannot be overstated. Their rulers, known as the Kings of Kings, were seen as divinely appointed, serving as both political leaders and spiritual intermediaries. This idea of a ruler chosen by the gods would echo through the ages, shaping the way kingship was understood in later civilizations. The Aksumite Empire's myths remind us of the power of storytelling to connect cultures and preserve shared values. Their tales of the Queen of Sheba, the Ark of the Covenant, and King Solomon continue to inspire and captivate, bridging the gap between history and legend. As we prepare to journey further into the forgotten civilizations that shaped our myths, we turn our gaze to the Chachapoyas, a mysterious culture whose cloud-shrouded cities and warrior traditions have left an indelible mark on Andean folklore. Now, as we ascend into the misty heights of the Andes, we encounter the enigmatic Chachapoyas, a civilization whose very name evokes mystery and wonder. Known as the Cloud People, the Chachapoyas thrived in the cloud forests of northern Peru, building their cities high above the valleys and carving their tombs into the cliffsides. Their unique way of life and dramatic surroundings gave rise to myths of a lost warrior culture, one that continues to captivate the imagination of those who hear their story. The Chachapoyas' most striking legacy lies in their architecture, particularly their cliffside tombs and fortified settlements. These structures, often perched on steep mountain slopes, were not only practical but also deeply symbolic. The tombs, known as sarcophagi, were carved to resemble human figures, standing guard over the remains of the dead. This practice reflected the Chachapoyas' belief in the connection between the living and the ancestors, a theme that resonates throughout Andean folklore. The fortified cities, with their stone walls and strategic locations, reinforced the image of the Chachapoyas as a warrior people, fiercely protective of their land and traditions. The myth of the Cloud People is perhaps the most enduring aspect of Chachapoya culture. According to legend, the Chachapoyas were a race of tall, fair-skinned warriors who lived among the clouds, hidden from the world below. This myth, likely inspired by their remote and mist-shrouded homeland, has been passed down through generations, blending history with fantasy. The idea of a hidden, almost magical people has influenced Andean storytelling, adding a layer of mystique to the region's rich tapestry of myths. The Chachapoyas also played a significant role in shaping the broader narrative of resistance and resilience in Andean folklore. When the Inca Empire expanded into their territory, the Chachapoyas fiercely resisted, earning a reputation as formidable warriors. Their defiance against a much larger and more powerful force became a symbol of courage and determination, themes that are celebrated in many Andean legends. Even after their eventual incorporation into the Inca Empire, the Chachapoyas' cultural identity persisted, leaving a lasting imprint on the region's history and mythology. The legacy of the Chachapoyas reminds us of the power of place in shaping myths and stories. Their cloud-shrouded cities and cliffside tombs not only served as physical reminders of their existence, but also inspired tales of a people who lived between earth and sky. These stories, blending history and legend, continue to inspire curiosity and wonder, inviting us to explore the mysteries of the past. As we prepare to leave the misty peaks of the Andes, we turn our attention to the Xiongnu, a nomadic confederation whose warrior myths and steppe traditions influenced the legends of Central Asia and beyond. Now, as we journey across the vast steppes of Central Asia, we encounter the Xiongnu, a powerful nomadic confederation whose warrior culture and myths left an indelible mark on the legends of China and the Turkic peoples. The Xiongnu, often described as fierce horsemen and skilled archers, roamed the grasslands, embodying the spirit of the untamed steppe. Their nomadic lifestyle, centered around mobility and adaptability, not only defined their way of life but also shaped the myths and stories that emerged from their interactions with settled civilizations. The Xiongnu's influence on Chinese mythology is particularly profound, especially in the context of the Great Wall. While the wall is often seen as a symbol of Chinese ingenuity and defense, its origins are deeply tied to the Xiongnu threat. The constant raids and skirmishes between the Xiongnu and the Chinese states led to the construction of early fortifications, which later evolved into the Great Wall. This monumental structure, often romanticized in legends, became a symbol of the struggle between the nomadic and sedentary worlds, a theme that resonates in many Chinese myths. The Xiongnu, as the archetypal barbarian invaders, became a central figure in these stories, representing the chaos and danger that lay beyond the wall. Beyond their role in Chinese legends, the Xiongnu also contributed to the mythos of the steppe nomad, a figure that appears in Turkic and Central Asian folklore. The image of the nomadic warrior, living in harmony with the land and mastering the art of horseback warfare, owes much to the Xiongnu legacy. Their way of life, characterized by resilience and resourcefulness, became a source of inspiration for later nomadic cultures, including the Mongols and the Turks. The Xiongnu's myths of heroic battles and epic journeys across the steppe continue to echo in the oral traditions of these peoples, celebrating the nomadic spirit as a force of both destruction and creation. The Xiongnu's cultural impact extended beyond warfare and mythology. Their interactions with neighboring civilizations, including trade and diplomacy, helped to shape the cultural landscape of Central Asia. The exchange of goods, ideas, and stories between the Xiongnu and their neighbors enriched the region's folklore, blending elements of nomadic and sedentary traditions. This cultural fusion is evident in the myths and legends that emerged from the Silk Road, where the Xiongnu played a pivotal role as both traders and raiders. As we reflect on the legacy of the Xiongnu, we see a civilization that embodied the duality of the steppe nomad, both feared and admired, destructive and creative. Their myths and stories remind us of the enduring power of the nomadic spirit, a force that continues to inspire and captivate. With the Xiongnu's story behind us, we now turn our gaze to the Garamantes, a desert civilization whose myths of hidden oases and underground rivers add another layer to the rich tapestry of forgotten cultures. Now, as we venture into the vast expanse of the Sahara Desert, we uncover the story of the Garamantes, a civilization whose ingenuity and myths transformed the harsh desert into a land of wonder and legend. The Garamantes, often overlooked in the annals of history, thrived in one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth, creating a network of underground water systems known as fagaras. These remarkable feats of engineering allowed them to cultivate fertile oases in the midst of the desert, turning barren sands into thriving settlements. Their ability to harness water in such an arid landscape not only sustained their civilization, but also gave rise to enduring myths of hidden oases and secret rivers, symbols of life and abundance in a world dominated by scarcity. The Garamantes' mastery of the desert environment deeply influenced the myths and folklore of the Berber people who inhabited the surrounding regions. The concept of the oasis as a sacred, life-giving space became a central theme in Berber legends, often depicted as a reward for the virtuous or a refuge for the weary. These stories, passed down through generations, celebrated the Garamantes' ability to transform the desert into a place of hope and renewal. The idea of the hidden city, a mysterious settlement concealed within the sands, also emerged from their legacy, capturing the imagination of storytellers and travelers alike. The Garamantes' influence extended beyond the Sahara, reaching as far as the Roman Empire. Roman accounts of the Garamantes often portrayed them as enigmatic and powerful, their desert kingdom shrouded in mystery. The Romans were fascinated by the Garamantes' ability to thrive in such a hostile environment, and their legends of hidden cities and underground rivers found their way into Roman literature and folklore. These tales of the Garamantes' ingenuity and resilience became part of the broader Mediterranean mythos, blending with stories of other distant and exotic lands. What makes the Garamantes truly remarkable is their ability to turn the challenges of their environment into opportunities for innovation and storytelling. Their underground water systems not only sustained their civilization, but also inspired myths that transcended their time and place. The Garamantes remind us that even in the most unlikely settings, human creativity and determination can give rise to enduring legends. As we leave the sands of the Sahara behind, we turn our attention to the Srivijaya Empire, a maritime civilization whose myths of golden islands and divine rulers add yet another layer to the rich tapestry of forgotten cultures. Now, as we set sail across the shimmering waters of Southeast Asia, we arrive at the story of the Srivijaya Empire, a maritime powerhouse whose influence rippled across the seas and into the myths of countless cultures. Nestled in the heart of the Indonesian archipelago, the Srivijaya Empire flourished as a hub of trade, culture, and spirituality, connecting distant lands through its vast network of ports and waterways. But beyond its economic prowess, Srivijaya left an indelible mark on the myths and legends of the region, weaving tales of golden islands and divine rulers that continue to captivate imaginations to this day. At the heart of Srivijaya's mythos lies the legend of the Golden Island, a place of unimaginable wealth and splendor. This myth, deeply rooted in the empire's prosperity, symbolized not just material riches but also spiritual abundance. The Srivijaya Empire was a center of Buddhist learning, attracting scholars and pilgrims from across Asia. Its grand temples and monasteries became the backdrop for stories of enlightenment and divine favor, where rulers were seen as embodiments of cosmic order, chosen by the gods to bring harmony and prosperity to their people. The idea of the divine ruler, a king or queen blessed with sacred authority, became a recurring theme in Indonesian and Malay folklore, shaping the way power and leadership were understood in the region. The Srivijaya Empire's maritime dominance also played a key role in spreading these myths far and wide. As their ships sailed from port to port, they carried not only goods but also stories, blending local traditions with Buddhist teachings. The myth of the Golden Island, for instance, evolved into a symbol of both earthly wealth and spiritual enlightenment, reflecting the empire's dual legacy as a center of trade and faith. These stories resonated deeply with the people of Southeast Asia, becoming part of their cultural identity and inspiring generations of storytellers and artists. What makes the Srivijaya Empire truly fascinating is how its myths transcended its physical boundaries. Even after its decline, the legends of the Golden Island and the divine ruler lived on, influencing the folklore of neighboring cultures and shaping the way they viewed their own histories. The Srivijaya Empire reminds us that myths are not just stories, they are reflections of the values, aspirations, and achievements of the civilizations that create them. As we conclude our journey through the forgotten civilizations that shaped modern myths, we are left with a profound appreciation for the enduring power of storytelling. From the labyrinthine palaces of the Minoans to the golden islands of Srivijaya, these ancient cultures have left behind a legacy that continues to inspire and intrigue us. Their myths, born from the challenges and triumphs of their time, remind us of the timeless human desire to make sense of the world and our place within it. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of forgotten civilizations and their influence on modern myths. If you enjoyed this journey through history and legend, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more fascinating content. Let us know in the comments which civilization or myth you found most intriguing. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring the stories that shape our world. As we bring this journey to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the incredible tapestry of stories we've uncovered. From the Minoans and their labyrinthine palaces to the Srivijaya Empire's golden islands, these 20 forgotten civilizations have left an indelible mark on the myths and legends we cherish today. Each culture, in its own unique way, contributed to the rich mosaic of human storytelling, weaving tales that transcend time and geography. These ancient civilizations remind us that myths are more than just stories. They are mirrors reflecting the values, struggles, and triumphs of the people who created them. Whether it's the Hittite storm gods, the Olmecs feathered serpents, or the Aksumites' sacred kingship, these myths continue to shape our understanding of the world and our place within it. They offer us a glimpse into the hopes, fears, and dreams of our ancestors, connecting us to a shared human experience that spans millennia. As we look back on these forgotten cultures, it's clear that their influence is far from lost. Their myths live on in the stories we tell, the art we create, and the beliefs we hold dear. They remind us that history is not just a record of the past, but a living, breathing force that continues to inspire and guide us. So, what's next? The beauty of these myths lies in their ability to spark curiosity and wonder. We encourage you to dive deeper into the stories of these civilizations, to explore their histories, and to uncover the hidden connections that link them to our modern world. Which myth resonated with you the most? Was it the Minotaur's labyrinth, the golden treasures of the Scythians, or the divine rulers of Srivijaya? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts and continue this conversation. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through time and myth. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our next adventure into the fascinating world of history and storytelling. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering the stories that shape our world.